this time, I'd like to give a special thank you to the candidates and Mrs. Stella Costas. That's the key. Just some quick logistical things. When this is finished, there's actually a voter registration booth outside, and there's campaign tables for the candidates. There will also be students from Mr. Berglund's AP Government class taking exit polls. So if you would take a minute, 2 minutes out of your time, please, to help them with that. The statistics are actually going to be sent to the El Paso Times. I'd like to direct the media towards the conclusion to over here, please. And when we're finished here, the candidates will be allowed 15 minutes with anyone from the audience. If you want to get autographs or some pictures or ask them some questions, you feel free to do that. And lastly, I want to thank everyone for coming out here tonight. And I want to turn it over last for the closing statements.
Each of the candidates get 2 minutes each.
Yes.
And these are the closing statements. Before we finish up, we want to thank Hannah. She's been doing a terrific job. And we will begin with Mr. Tillman and end with Mr. Mendoza.
First of all, on Dr. King's birthday, he said that what we need to do is not take a day off and make this a day on. Certainly want to commend the students for putting this together, putting candidates out in front of you so you can make a more informed decision when you go to the polls, whenever the primaries are going to be. There's a story I remember reading once about a battle between the Spanish Armada and the English Navy. The Spanish Armada outgunned the Navy by ship 3-1, but the Spanish were defeated. The midshipman was asked the question, why were they defeated? He said they were short several ships. So the professor of military science says, if the Spanish had a 3-1 advantage, how did the English defeat them and the Spanish were short ships? Well, the ships that they were short were leadership, stewardship, fellowship, comradeship, and craftsmanship. What we need to do is make sure that the person you send forward to Congress embodies all of those characteristics that I just described. I think we need to make sure that there is shared blame as well as shared responsibility. Two of the people on the stage have a combined total in public office of 22 years, plus or minus. Let's look at the report card. We're among the poorest cities by comparable size in the United States. 30%, we have a 30% gap in per capita income. There's a $22,000 gap between median income for the average American person who lives in El Paso. 4 to 5 families go to sleep hungry every night in this community. 6 out of 9 school districts are not producing education standards that produce quality people coming out. I submit that the solution to the problem is not going to be by going to the tree and picking the same people that you did the last time out. They are co-partners in producing those numbers. I think it's time to go to the tree and pick a fresh apple. Jerome Tillman is my name. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And I want to thank everyone that had a hand in putting this together. And also, Ms. Casas, she's always there for our community. Let's give her a big round of applause. I think it's fitting that we pay tribute to Martin Luther King. One of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther King is the following: "You cannot lead where you did not go. You cannot teach what you do not know." And I say that because we are a community that should be proud of where we are today. We're a community where we honor the service of our veterans and of active military reserves and National Guard. We are a community where the federal government has or will have invested over $6 billion in building out Fort Bliss. A huge difference in our economy. 60% of our economy is touched by that federal budget. I am proud of the work that I have done. I am proud of the seniority that I have on the Armed Services Committee, and I am proud of the seniority that I have on the Veterans Committee, where every day I am able to make a difference. We have a VA health center here that at some point will become a veterans hospital, but which today ranks in the top 88% in health care given to veterans. I'm a veteran, I have a VA account, and I sit on the Veterans Committee, and I know that that is the case. I think any election is about character. Do you have the character to deliver on the things that are important for your community? Do you have the character to go to schools like this and say, don't do drugs, stay in school, get an education. We promise you that this community will honor you and the children that you will raise. Thank you.
My message is for the students in the room tonight. All one of you. You know, many of you following this year are going to leave El Paso. You're going to go to school somewhere else or start your career somewhere else. Or you're just going to go to another city to explore and see what's out there. And I think that's great. But I want you to move back. And I don't want you to move back because you feel like you have to, or because your parents want you to, or there's some responsibility to move back. I want you to move back because El Paso is the most exciting and vital place that you could possibly be. And I want to give you some comfort that we're well on our way to being that city. At the local level, we've made incredible progress in the last 10 years. You think about the first four-year medical school built anywhere in the U.S., built right here in El Paso, Texas. You think about the amazing progress that we made in downtown El Paso in a very short period of time. Hundreds of millions of dollars in new construction and remodeling and economic activity. It's not where we want it to be yet, but we're making progress. And then you look at what the rest of the world is saying about us. This past year, Newsweek magazine called us the #1 can-do city in the United States. They looked at the 200 largest cities in America, and they said El Paso, Texas, had made the most progress in the shortest period of time on quality of life issues. So, when you think about the problems that we face, these long bridge lines that we've been reading about and talking about, a VA that in 2008 ranked as the worst in the country, when you hear about these patient-to-doctor ratios that are third world standard, what you hear is that we can't do, we won't do. You hear excuses why it's not getting done. Let's bring our #1 can-do spirit to DC and let's get the job done.
I want to thank each and every one of you for attending tonight. And I also want to wish you a belated Happy New Year and a blessed New Year. I also want to thank Ms. Casas for moderating, and just to thank Mr. Reyes and Mr. O'Rourke and Mr. Tillman and all the students that were involved that are too numerous to thank. You know, the reason I'm standing here is because I'm an American. And I believe in the process. I believe in democracy, and I believe in the sanity of the ballot. And I believe that you, as constituents, have the power to elect, and that really turns me on. You know, it really does. And I'm proud that I've been given this opportunity because maybe in another country, if I'd been born in another country, I would not be standing. But it all goes back to when you were a child. I was very fortunate in that I was involved in the scouting program, and I became an Eagle Scout. And as my Eagle Scout project, I put together, formed, and directed a summer camp for the men. At that time, they were mentally retarded, but now they're mentally challenged. And I learned that I am here to be your servant. So if I'm given the humble opportunity to serve you, I will think of it as being like a red balloon, not full of hot air, but helium, and we'll go to higher heights. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I just want to say one last thank you to my team and Mr. Burton, the one who helped us with this. And the meet and greet will be down here, not up here. And thank you. Have a good night.